This person, she was going through grief, and it's an acquaintance actually, but most of the conversation is through social media. Like, you have that one person where you message, "Hey, how are you doing?" You catch up.
Sure, absolutely.
Um, right. So it's something like that. She was going through a grieving period, and based on her post, it seemed to hit her pretty hard, like it does a lot of people. But what she did, she began to take it online, and she wasn't using the people in her real life as a support system. So the more she focused online and the less she focused on the in person, she began to get attention that she doesn't normally get, especially
Hmm.
from the opposite sex.
Hmm.
So this resulted in her taking up some of these offers, and they ended up being sexual, right?
Hmm.
So now she's down that road where she's going on these dates, she's doing these things with these people, and it's an unfortunate situation because, as you mentioned, right, like sometimes we take up habits that aren't the most conducive to our healing process. And I always wanted to know, and I'll get your point of view because from a man, it's easy, right? Men are like, oh, free sex, we're gonna take it, right? But from a woman's perspective, why do you think some women fall into that situation when they're grieving?
So I'm gonna pull back the lens because I um I think it's not just women. I think men do it too. And I think men do it differently. What's really curious is that um the reason that the different genders will, if we're aligning with two genders, but even within a non-binary perspective, that when a man is reaching out to have sex to calm his nervous system, he's he's doing it truly to calm his nervous system, not needing to feel intimate. It is it is a release, it is a physical release, and it may not even be joyful, but it is something that makes him feel something when he's feeling numb. And so men will oftentimes, whether it is the loss of a partner through death or the loss of a partner through a divorce, will go into the dating scene pretty quickly, will engage sexually pretty quickly. Not all men and not all women, okay? But it is not necessarily a need for something that is romantic or is of the heart. It is actually just to maybe remember who they are, to see if they can even have an erection after going through everything, because that erection is part of their manhood, and they may be afraid. And for women, I see you smile.
I didn't even think about it like that. Just proving that, what, I can still perform in a
Yeah,
sense that
that's
I
right.
was performing before. Okay,
That's
good
right.
point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, being a sex therapist, I must look at all of the lenses, okay? And I think that men often are, when we talk about these deep issues, and I'm thrilled that, we're having this conversation, frankly, because I think that men are hurting a lot in our culture right now. They're hurting a lot, and they're grieving for a lot of different reasons, which we can get into. But many men are not even knowing how to behave anymore. They don't know there aren't like rules necessarily. And when you lose a partner and you need to go out and you want to start dating, or you want to just see if you can hook up, it's if you've been in a partnership for some length of time, it's pretty scary, and men are not inclined to talk to one another about the incredible fears that they have. And so they swallow it. It's all like internalized. And so you'll see that men are gaining weight, or that they're, using some coping mechanisms that may not be so great, but they're not sleeping. Maybe they're gaining weight. Maybe they're developing ulcers. Maybe they've got some gut health issues. Maybe they've got some or teeth. Our teeth actually take up a lot of stress. Maybe something's going on with their hearts. And we find that men who are grieving, who have not actually been through any kind of grieving process, but did just like found somebody, got involved pretty quickly. Men will tend to get involved pretty quickly in another partnership, no matter what. Women will tend to take their time. Their sense of community is very, very different, the men and the women. And frankly, within the world that we're in, and even within non-binary communities, there is the LGBTQ plus communities. How one deals with loss is going to very much depend on the community that they have to support them. And sometimes those communities are wonderful, and sometimes those communities have judgment. Sometimes those communities are religious, and so you can't even really explore everything because it's all up to you are who you are, and God is going to take care of you. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. However, it is a communication to give it over to some higher power. And though the higher power is important, you must also meet the self in this.
Do women then have a similar struggle, or is their struggle a bit different then?
I think it's different. I think, it's women are probably a little more protective of their bodies. Again, not all. A woman who's been in a partnership, and that partnership, she has a loss of her partner, she may very well wait and be terrified to engage. Maybe her body has changed. Our bodies changed, and sadly, as we age, and no matter how much we take care of our bodies, it doesn't mean that our bodies are the same that they were when we were 18 or 20. And if you're 30, 40, 50, and 60, whatever, they change. And so to go out, we're very concerned, I think, about how we are and how to date. And some women had only one partner in their lives, so now they're faced with, do I even dare to go out? Do I, am I dishonoring the partner I lost? And and of course there's a lot of other complications which we haven't even touched upon, which has to do with, and this is for all people, if you've had a history of any kind of sexually traumatic predatory event, how you grieve the losses of a loved one are going to be impacted differently than if you haven't had the experience of a sexually traumatic predatory event, which, you know, uh, I would say it's about 1 in 3 women, and about, you know, six, 6 in 10 men, 6 out of 10 men have suffered some kind of, or been affected by a sexually traumatic predatory event. And that doesn't mean, you can make it mean whatever you want or wherever your mind goes, but it doesn't mean that you were even touched inappropriately. Sometimes it can mean you witnessed it. Sometimes it means you got away. And there, but for the grace of whatever you believe in, you got away. But it doesn't mean you weren't affected. Not at all. And those experiences, those events that happen to us, affect how we grieve, affect perhaps what we offer as self-soothing techniques, and our comfort level for whatever the norm is, to start to go out to talk about our initial loss. Because sometimes the losses, one loss, we may have forgotten something that occurred early on in life, and all of a sudden it is one loss. It is that grief of a partner or partnership, a divorce, even like the loss of a house, loss of a job that all of a sudden opens something up in the brain that has been very nicely, neatly tucked away.